there. What is the point? What's the point of this, Toyota? What are we doing here? So what we've done so far is we've disassembled our tie rods, we've taken the bolts out of the lower portion of the shock absorber, and removed the sway bar with great prejudice. I'm about to just remove the front sway bar altogether, which is always a discussion point on the forums and Facebook groups of what it's like to daily drive without a front sway bar, and the benefits and disadvantages of doing that. The main benefit is that you get more articulation off-road, because if you think about it, this sway bar is trying to keep the one wheel that is not articulating from articulating. It's for good road manners. But when you remove it, the whole truck doesn't fall apart. It just becomes a little looser in the turns. You basically just adjust your driving style very, very slightly to get used to that, and then you go on about your daily life. So you never have to worry about sway bar interlinks anymore, and you get that articulation off-road. So in order to do that, I'm just going to take the skid plate down, which we are replacing as well, and then we'll be able to get this sway bar out the way. Ah! Jesus. God dang. Ooh. Whoop. Oh, no. See, Toyota. They looking out for me, dog. These little dealios right here. So you can't just get fucked up. Boy, look at that skid plate, son. That's like the thickness of that materials. This is why you upgrade to a quality skid plate, folks. Now, these will take some abuse, but after you smash it a couple times and you take it off, you'll never get it back on. You'd be right. Sway bar. Deleted. But luckily, I'm a big, strong man. Goodness. So anyway, the Dobinsons kit that we got comes with front struts, coils, rear leaf springs, rear long travel bump stop extensions, and upper control arms. But it does require you to either reuse your top hat from your old suspension, your OEM suspension, or order their additional top hat kits. But still, it has to be assembled, or you have to pay them to assemble it. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, so with the MRR kit from Dobinsons, you can see we've got this is a strut assembly, but it's an adjustable height. So it's got these collars that let you adjust preload, which will let you dial in your height exactly as you need it. We also have a much longer spring, which should give us additional stroke. And you can see that it's not a pencil thin stem down here. It is a nice beefy rod end. Quite. And these are rebuildable as well. These you throw away. Okay, so we're going to install this and show you how to do it, because there are very, very little instructions that come in the kit. But in order to get your OEM top hat mated up to either, any kind of strut assembly from Dobinsons, they all work the same way. They provide you with a whole slew of parts. We've got those on the ground. We don't need most of those for this particular thing. But what we're going to do first is take this large washer. You're going to see that we've got two different sizes, right? So, I'm sorry, we're going to take the small washer, not the large one. We're going to put this one face up. It's concave. We're going to put it, or would that be face up, face down? I don't know. It goes like this, okay? You see that? That's how it goes. And you'll see that there are other bushings in the kit that we're not using, and that's because this bushing and this little washer are already in our top hat. I mean, an OEM top hat includes that. I guess they give you these in case it's all busted up, but ours is already in there, so we don't need these two. We're going to set those aside. And then we simply, and the reason why we use the small washer is because it fits this smaller bushing. We then pop this on here, like so, and I like to line up. You'll see there's indentions already from the previous spring. Even though these springs aren't going to be the same, I still like to line up the indentions as best as possible for reasons unknown. So we got that one in there. Next we're going to put our large bushing. You're going to see this one, it's thicker, it's wider. Put our large bushing here, and then we put our large washer face down. I guess that would be the right way. And then finally, with the supplied nut, we're going to tighten this up. And you're going to ask, well, how much do you tighten it? And the answer is, until it bottoms out on the threads. So we're going to have a large amount of squish on this bushing, which is going to be normal. But we're going to tighten this all the way down until it won't anymore. And this is a nylon lock nut. So you won't just be able to tighten it down. You'll need a Allen wrench to hold the stud while you tighten it down with a wrench. We'll do that now. Oh, one final note is that you need to make certain that your eyelet down here is parallel to the two bolts up here. Yes. Right? This way. This way. So, original height, squish height. So, now we're at the point that we're about to replace the control arms, and this is that situation that I mentioned in the previous video where the bolt directly interferes with the body. So this is my tool of choice. Some people will beat it with a hammer, cut slits, move it out the way. I'm just going to try to kind of massage it out the way. I'm going to be a little gentler, hopefully. There we go. Of course, something else is blocking it, probably the battery. So we've taken the battery and the battery tray out. What we're going to do next is going to remove this little junction of cables here. There is a 10 millimeter bolt right there. No. Installing the Dobinsons arms. These are really nice. They're about 800, I think, or a little bit less if I'm not mistaken. 3 degrees of caster built in, so you cannot use these on anything less than 1.5 inches of lift, according to Dobinsons. OE style bushings, which should last quite a while, and this has got a nice uniball right here with a cap on it to keep the dirt and debris out. It should work really well. Okay, for those who don't know what I'm doing, I'm setting the preload according to Dobinsons recommendations, they say it should be 8.38 inches from the middle of the bolt to the bottom of the start of the spring right here. And right now we're at about 7.5, so I've got a little ways to go. Now you can set the preload before you put your top hats on and everything, but that means that you got to compress the spring. So I opted to lower these all the way down to make it easier to put the top hat on without having to put these in the compressor, because honestly, just like I was saying a second ago, I hate it whenever you have to put springs in the compressor, because they're gonna chip, they're gonna scratch, and make it look bad. So I opted to do it this way because now we've got just small little indentations down here. It's a little bit more work, but it makes things look nicer in the end. We opted for the a medium duty spring because we're going to be running a bumper and a winch. And this entire package actually can be found on our website just as you see it, so you don't have to do any guesswork. You'll just know that it's going to work for your Tacoma. We are almost done with the front here. I opted for 8 inches of distance between the bottom of the spring and the middle of this bolt. Dobinsons calls for 8.38, but I would rather be just a little bit lower than high, because I don't want the front end riding around higher than the rear. We want some rake because we're going to be carrying stuff as well. I think it looks good. All right, guys, so now we're working on the rear, and this is the long travel kit from Dobinsons. It came in the whole kit that we bought. And the importance of long travel is that it allows your wheels to articulate so that you have more reach before your truck starts to tip over. And so that's really important in the rear, believe it or not. You'll get the biggest bang for your buck with a rear long travel kit, because really it's just a lengthened shock. But it does require you to be careful of your bump stop, because it is the same length. It's the same up travel but additional down travel. So you have to be certain that you don't jam this shock into the body, or you could have damage. So I just wanted to show you the difference here. I'm going to try to approximate exactly where it's going to end up, but you can see here, can you see the difference? Oh, how much more travel you're going to get out of each side. And this really kind of multiplies because of the geometry as the axle articulates from side to side. This is going to be a huge difference in articulation that you'll get out of the rear of your truck. But interestingly enough, this shock and the 2024 Tacoma are just about an inch difference. So the 2024 Tacoma actually has damn near long travel from the factory. So that's going to be real interesting to see how these two stack up once we get it all installed. So normally this would be a very simple install for the rear. It's just it's a 14 millimeter nut up top and a 17 millimeter bolt down at the bottom. I've already got the bottom loose, that wasn't a problem. But our particular truck seems to have a problem with the rustitis. So instead of asking nicely, I'm going to demand that it comes off with this little tool here. Hopefully you don't have to do this, but it's going to be faster than me messing around with this stupid nut, because we don't need this anymore. We're just going to get rid of it. Ow! Got it. Hey! Now we're cooking, baby. There it be. You gotta break a couple eggs to make an omelet, you know what I'm saying? Just hope the omelet doesn't hit you in the eye. For everybody at home, I'm not certain what's going on at Dobinsons, or if I'm wrong, I guess you can tell me in the comments, but it appears, just like I said, that this washer, which has this raised lip on it, is required for this spot because it fits perfectly in that hole so that nothing moves around. If you have it move around, you're going to get premature bushing wear, so you have to have it stay still there. So this washer requires this large bushing, but if you try to use 2 of these large bushings, there's no way to get enough thread, or any thread, to put your nut on. And what we also found is that this bushing that came in the rear boxes is the exact same size as OEM bushing back here. So what I'm doing is I'm using this larger bushing on the bottom because that makes sense. It's going to absorb most of the suspension. I'm going to use this larger bushing on the bottom with the large washers, which fall perfectly in this hole. And then we're going to use this smaller bushing with this large washer here, and that will smaller washer on the top, and this will effectively sandwich it together. So let me know what your experiences are with this, but this is the only way that I can get it to work. Oh yeah, you like that, don't you? Say it. Call me daddy. That's how she likes it. So once again, we have this lip that will go perfectly down in this hole, this small washer, and we have enough threads to get engaged. Just engaged, not married.
I'm already engaged.
Now we're going to tighten that down, and we'll be good to go. Cure these boots. I do appreciate the boots. I'm going to cover up this barcode. Huh. Okay. All right. Most difficult thing.